When you follow the conspiracy theory and convince yourself that the truth is the conspiracy theory, the conspiracy theory is the truth, don't be surprised when you get wiped out. Here in Georgia, the Republicans in November got 51% of the statewide vote for congressional races combined. They got 53% of the state house races. They got 54% of all votes cast for the state Senate. And then David Schaefer, the chairman of the Republican Party here in Georgia, and Donald Trump, the president of the United States, and various members of Congress from Georgia toured the state telling everyone the race was stolen, the fix is in, you can't beat the Democrats without calling a special session of the legislature. They didn't call a special session of the legislature. There's no way we can win. And you know what happens when you tell your voters the fix is in? I mean, the president of the United States literally stood on stage in Dalton, Georgia on Monday night and told Republican voters, the deck stacked against you, they're cheating and stealing it, go vote anyway. Well, those voters didn't go vote. Marjorie Taylor Greene is the congresswoman for Northwest Georgia. She's a QAnon sympathizer, and she's been all over the place saying the race was stolen and the fix was in. And guess what? Her congressional district, which has a massive amount of Republican vote, underperformed. Significantly so. The worst performing area of the state was Northwest Georgia for Republicans. They did not turn their vote out. The state was about 69% overall on average, 69% of where it was on election day in terms of turnout. That corridor of Northwest Georgia where the president campaigned, Dalton, Georgia, and the 14th congressional district, was at 60%. The Republicans didn't show up. Democrats showed up at almost the level they were at on election day. Republicans did not show up. This was not the Democrats winning so much as the Republicans surrendering. You know, in Metro Atlanta, let me tell you, for those of you who are listening now, who you're not in Metro Atlanta, most of you, let me explain to you what was going on in Metro Atlanta. In the Metro Atlanta area, Democrats were identifying people who looked like Democratic voters and who were persuadable Democratic voters, and they were signing them up for absentee ballots. And after signing them up for absentee ballots, they would circle back the next week to make sure they got their absentee ballot. And if they didn't, they'd figure out what was wrong. And if they did, they would help them vote and help them cast. And you can say it's ballot harvesting, and ballot harvesting is bad, but that's what they were doing, and the Republicans didn't stop them. You know what the Republicans were doing? They were selling Trump Christmas wrapping paper. And I wish I was making that up. In the Metro Atlanta area, the Republicans were sending emails and text messages saying, give the president more money for his legal team and buy his Christmas wrapping paper, while the Democrats were out signing people up to vote. Well done, Georgia Republican Party. Well done. There's not a lot of good news for the Republicans right now, but I will tell you this. It's not going to be the doom and gloom disaster, and that's part of the problem here that the Republicans ran on. What did you hear? What was the message from David Perdue's team and from Kelly Loeffler's team? It was that if you vote for the Democrats, the socialists are going to take over and they're going to destroy your lives. You didn't hear what their vision of America was. You heard what they thought the other guy's vision was. They gave no one a reason to vote for them, and a lot of people didn't show up and vote for them. The Republicans also, if they were Trump voters, they didn't show up for other Republicans. They stayed home. Donald Trump told them to stay home. I mean, he implied that they should stay home because the gig was up. The Republicans weren't doing anything to fix the election. It was all stolen, so just stay home. Well, they stayed home. They listened to their guy. So here's the problem for the Republican Party moving forward in the state of Georgia. You've got to have suburban white voters. And by the way, suburban white voters came back to the GOP last night in northern Cobb County, North Fulton County. College-educated white voters and upper-income soccer moms voted for Loeffler and Perdue. The problem was that the black vote was 38% of the vote, and the reason it was so high was because the white vote was depressed. So upper-income white voters came back to the GOP, but white voters who only love Donald Trump didn't show up at the polls. Well, the GOP, if all of those voters show up, they win in Georgia. And if they're divided, they lose. And they're divided because the upper-income white voters in the North Metro Atlanta area and the Trump voters hate each other.